Rev up your engines!
Jesse Fair, what do you think of the new Mercedes EQC electric car? Will it be more reliable than gas Mercedes? They have so many less moving parts. They don't need a transmission. They have electric motors, direct drive. They don't have an ignition system, fuel system. They're just an electric motor. They are much simpler vehicles. If they're made correctly, yeah, they're pretty dependable cars. There's no arguing that. Now, I'm saying it has to be built correctly because those things are using high voltage, 200 volts up. And if that's not made right, they can melt, start on fire like some of those Teslas did. But if they're made right, yeah, they can be, reliable cars. Now, being a Mercedes, I'm sure the prices are going to be astronomical. And from what I've read, you see Volvo got bought by the Chinese. Then they say they're only going to make hybrid and electric cars in the future. Hey, those guys are going to undercut the prices of everybody else. I wouldn't buy an electric car now anyways because I don't think the infrastructure's there. But as time goes on, I imagine people are probably going to be driving around in a lot of Chinese electric cars. Look at Tesla. He's building a factory in China now. He built the one in the United States he's had problems with. So what's he doing now? Now he's building a factory in China so he can make them cheaper. Andrew O. Scotty, love your videos. What do you think of Evans waterless coolant? I know guys like Jay Leno put in some of their fancy exotic cars and stuff. If you wanted to put the Evans waterless coolant in, you'd have to get everything out of the system. Absolutely everything. All the water, all the old coolant. That's not that easy to do. And then you got to buy this really expensive coolant. And you might say, oh, I never have to change it again. Well, use your noggin. Water pump goes out. It's going to leak out. Hose blows. It's going to leak out. You're always going to have to change it at some point in time. I actually contacted the company and asked them for some samples to try. And they never even got back to me. They don't seem very professional. Or maybe they don't want anybody testing it. I don't know. I just know they never got back to me. They'll probably get back to me now, though. Pelican 1997 says, my car shakes when I brake on a highway going over 60. No problem going under 60. What could be wrong? I'm assuming you're talking about your steering wheel shaking. Now, if it's your steering wheel shaking, that means your front rotors are warped. They get squeezed by the brake pads. And if they're warped, the brake pads are going like this. Only a few thousandths of an inch, but at 60 miles an hour, they're spinning like mad. So you got to change the rotors and the pads. You can't change one or the other because they're both warped. If it's not the steering wheel, but the whole car, that means the rear rotors are warped. When the rear ones are warped, that doesn't make your steering wheel shake. That makes the whole car shake. Low Punny Zan, I've been looking at restored 1977 MGB. I've seen a lot of them on Craigslist. It's something worth buying. Truthfully, they were rolling piles of junk. They had this horrible English electronic ignition system that didn't work well, but they are cute cars. I remember back in the day, people said, why doesn't somebody figure out how to put a Japanese engine and transmission in an English sports car? Mazda did them one up. The Mazda Miata, which was a cute little sports car, all Japanese made. And it, of course, blew away the English little ones like the MG and the Triumphs that just fell apart. They were cute, but they fell apart. If you want a toy and you can get that thing cheap, go ahead. But it's never going to be worth any kind of money. They made a whole bunch of them. And I remember a long time ago, years ago, they were like old U.S. Air Force bases that were in England from World War II. And they were just full of those things that they hadn't sold for years, just sitting there unsold. They were terrible cars. Wilhelmina 3 says, hi, Scotty, my husband just bought a 81 Cadillac Eldorado, and he's parking it in the garage. I think he was crazy to buy it. What do you think? I had a customer that did the same thing with an 82 Eldorado, and his was a convertible. The convertibles are always worth a little bit of money. The hardtops aren't, but the convertibles are. And after 3 years, his wife finally said, get that thing out of the garage, and he ended up towing it away, selling it to somebody. Unless they're a convertible, all the VIN numbers match, and they're worth a reasonable amount of money, they're just endless money pits. And you keep fixing something else breaks. They're just kind of like an albatross around your neck. Now, if you got a garage, you're out in the country, you got a lot of land, you can store one at, or an old barn to put it in, go right ahead. But if you're like a normal city guy and you got a garage that fits 1 or 2 cars and it's going to hog the garage, your wife's going to get mad at you after a while. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.